Hi and welcome to my middle grade magic water-based recommendations. The first one I'm going to talk about is The Land of Ro by Jenny McLaughlin. These are about two young children starting to grow up, and they're over their grandfather's for the summer and currently clearing out their old room and come across this camp bed, and they recall these wonderful stories they used to make up about a land called Ro. And you get there by crawling through the folding up camp bed. So they decide to play for one last time for nostalgia reasons and end up slipping into the Land of Ro. Is this part of their imagination, or is Ro actually real? There is a lake, there's pirate ships, there's a scarecrow, dragons, mermaids, all manner of different creatures. It's completely whimsical. I love the characters, I love the relationship between the brother and the sister, as well as the grandfather, and I just love this wholeheartedly with all of my heart, and highly recommend it. The second one is Boy Underwater by Azim Baran. This is a middle grade about a book that has never learned how to swim, and his school is currently starting up swimming lessons, and he brags to this bully that he can do more laps than him and he's a terrific swimmer. So it's all about how he gets around that. It's a wonderfully funny magic book. I highly recommend the audiobook. I absolutely love the narrator and had a really good time with it. The third recommendation is The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Astertag. This is a middle grade graphic novel about a young girl from the sea called Kelty, and she saves this main character from drowning. It is a sapphic graphic novel, and there's all manner of sea creatures in this one as well. There's a ship, and it's all about this girl that lives by the sea and accidentally falls in and nearly drowns, but is saved by this girl called Kelty, and their wonderful relationship and the main character's struggle in coming out to her family and her friends because you don't think her friends will understand. And it's incredibly heartwarming and really wholesome, and highly recommend it. The fourth recommendation is actually a fourth book in a series, but these can actually be read as standalones. I found that I got to grips really easy with the storyline and the characters without ever having actually to read book one. So I'm going to recommend Mummy, Fairy and Me, Mermaid Magic by Sophie Kinsella. This is about a young girl whose family are all fairies and the madcap adventures that they get into, and about her actually learning to control her newfound powers, and it's absolutely adorable. The fifth recommendation that I'm going to talk about is Wonderscape by Jennifer Bell. When Arthur Wren and Cecily investigate a mysterious explosion on their way to school, they find themselves trapped aboard the Principia, a scientific research ship, sailing through hazardous waters captained by one Isaac Newton. Lost in the year 2473. In the Wonderscape, it's an epic reality adventure game, and they have to call on some unlikely historical heroes in order to help them out. And it's kind of like Jumanji versus Ready Player One. I really loved it. I loved all the characters and all the historical heroes coming to life. And at one point they do actually board a ship on here as well, as I previously just mentioned. So there's your water-based right there. For the sixth recommendation, I'm going to recommend The Haunting of Evelyn Jones by Phil Hicks. This is about a young girl who goes on holiday by the sea and is a little bit bored, so goes to this local bookshop in the town, and she's interested in ghosts and hauntings and all that type of stuff. Girl after my own heart. And she finds this book, which is a bunch of ghost stories, but there's one story that's actually crossed out in its absolute entirety, and she has no idea why or what's going on, so decides to try and unravel the mystery of why this story has been erased from this book. It's awfully whimsical, awfully magical. There's very heavy fall vibes in this as well, which I absolutely love. Fall is my favourite season of all time, and I adore Evelyn. She is so wholesome, she's really kind, really helpful, and she makes friends with the grandson of the bookstore owner, who is entirely eccentric, and I love him to bits. He is so funny. So highly recommend that entire series. For recommendation number 7, I am going to be going with The Stitchers by Lorien Lawrence. This is part of the Fright Watch series, and as far as I'm aware, it's just going to be a trilogy. So I'm actually going to be recommending the first and the third books for water-based here, which is The Stitchers and Unmasked. I recommend the entire trilogy, but only books 1 and 3 are actually water-based. In the first one, we follow a young girl and a young boy who are friends and neighbours, and they get some new neighbours, which they name the Oldies. It's a bunch of older residents, but they never seem to age. In fact, they seem to get younger. So they go on this investigative journey in order to find out what's going on. There is an entire plot line around a lake, and I can't say too much or it'll actually spoil it, but it is absolutely incredible. You get major old Goosebumps Point horror vibes, but the little bit older than that as well. The character development is absolutely superb. Really love it. I devoured the entire trilogy in 48 hours. So that should tell you how good it is. And the main character's father has just passed away as well, so you get the grief and mental health element there, as well as the grieving process. And he was actually a cop. So you can imagine a cop's daughter taking on a mystery is absolutely fantastic. So that was recommendations 7 and 8. So for recommendation 9, I am going to go with the books by Ben Clanton, which is the Narwhal and Jelly series. This is about a narwhal and his friend Jelly the jellyfish, and it's a very cute young graphic novel about their adventures in the sea, and it is absolutely adorable, awfully whimsical, and they're very easy to devour, so really quick reads. So if you need to get those points in, that's where you need to go. And finally, it wouldn't be a water-based middle grade recommendations if I didn't include Percy Jackson. This is by Rick Riordan, and it is a series about a half boy, half god. And he goes to this camp called Camp Half-Blood and goes on his amazing adventures while he comes to terms with the fact that he is Poseidon's son and is learning all of his new abilities. So you can imagine the madcapness of that. He gets himself into all sorts of trouble, and it is absolutely hysterical. He has a lot of inner monologues, and there's a lot of sassiness with the characters as well, which I absolutely love. And it is major found family vibes, so I cannot recommend this enough. The books have ranged from 5 stars to 3 stars for me, and it's absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to delve into the Heroes of Olympus either, which is the next series after the normal Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief series. So, that's all my recommendations for now. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll chat to you in the next one. Bye!